Hello and welcome to Room 442. James Sharman here with you. Today, a marquee matchup to talk about: Chelsea against Man City. This Thursday, we have a deep dive on Tottenham and should they be winning championships, or is it just crazy talk? And attack defend, actually not attack defend, red card, yellow card I should say. The questions which are very secret, we can't even mention what they are just yet. It's Room 442. Well, there you have it, Man City, Chelsea, a big game always. City on the strength of a Riyad Mahrez goal, 1-0 victors, which means in the table they climb a bit closer to Arsenal in first place. 5 points separate the two teams. Just Newcastle on the hunt though still to catch the top two there. Chelsea, by the way, 10th, 10 points out of fourth place now. Man, could their season be done? As I'm welcoming in Albert Vatanian, Michael Singh. Hey, fellas.
Good.
Is it good?
Yes.
Not a great game today. I didn't think it was all right.
Yeah.
A pretty disjointed first half, but in the end, City bring on a couple of changes at halftime, and they find their mojo somewhat, and I think we're valued for the win in the end.
Yeah, and I think the difference with Manchester City is what they can bring off the bench compared to what Chelsea was able to bring off the bench. 3 19-year-olds on that bench for Chelsea. So many players going down. We saw Sterling and Pulisic leave the game. We thought Koulibaly had an injury as well. He just ripped out his shoelace, but it's not going well for Potter and Chelsea. But on the flip side, if you're Manchester City and you're able to bring on Rico Lewis, who's been fantastic, Akanji, Jack Grealish, Riyad Mahrez, those types of players can win you games, and that's exactly what we saw today.
See, I don't know if that was just the difference. Like, when I think of Manchester City, Chelsea, do you guys get the same level of excitement maybe you used to get?
I mean, it's no Arsenal Newcastle.
It's no worse. It might not be no Arsenal Newcastle.
It's still a big game in the league.
Because, like, I'm thinking about it, and they play again on Sunday. I think it's in the FA Cup, right? I'm not that excited for it anymore. I think times have changed a little bit, and I think that speaks to where Chelsea is right now as a club. Listen, you look at their defense, right? Outstanding. They have 17 defenders on their payroll now. They just bought another one. What about their attack? What about going forward? You're telling me that their number 9s are Raheem Sterling, and behind Raheem Sterling is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? I mean, come on. There's no excitement in that moving forward. There's no punch as your number 9, maybe Kai Havertz, but even then.
But regardless of that, they outplayed City in the first half. There was chances, even with that attack
the
that's
injuries,
lacking.
and with the players coming off, you know. And you're right, it's a big problem right now, I think, for them, the injuries. Christopher Vivel's come in as their new sporting director from Leipzig. He's going to build long term. He needs time. Graham Potter needs time as well. And I know there's a lot of people saying he should be on his way out. I think that is nonsense. It's way too soon. He's come aboard a team that played a certain way under Thomas Tuchel. Brought in a lot of players to play under Thomas Tuchel, and then he comes in to really try and play a different style of football entirely. It's going to take time. I mean, listen, Todd Bowley's new to this sport in England, right? It's been kind of a scattergun approach to his signing so far, I think. But you have to stick with Graham Potter, don't you? I mean, when you look at the issues up front in particular, like you mentioned there.
You have to. But when you're spending the money that Chelsea's been spending, over 300 million euros so far this season into this club, you have to start expecting results at one point or another.
But Mikey, it's the injuries.
Is that the only issue?
Of
Is
course.
that the only issue with this Chelsea
N'Golo
squad?
Conte, Mason Mount, Armando Broja, Edouard Mendy, now Pulisic, Raheem Sterling, Reece James, Ben Chilwell. That's 8 starters.
Great players. None of them, again, aside from maybe Raheem Sterling, is really prominent moving forward.
Remember the start that Potter had when he first came to Chelsea?
Outstanding, right?
Right.
But that's that new manager.
That was with
buzz,
a healthy
right?
team, and he brought in Wesley Fofana. That was a huge transfer for him because he knew that was going to be the next generation of center back to go behind Thiago Silva and play alongside him. And he gets injured. He's been unlucky with these injuries.
So let me ask you, Chelsea, when they're healthy, what's your expectation for this Chelsea
A
squad?
team that challenges for the top 4, if not the title. They have that type of team. They have
But the
those
league's
players.
looking different now, though, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and Chelsea are going to be a powerhouse. You know, in 10 years from now, they may have won 2 more championships. We understand that. But right now, looking at the Premier League, you have the Brentfords, the Brightons, Newcastle. These teams haven't been factors for a long time, and now all kind of competing for a 4th place, which is big. The league's just weird right now. We've been saying it's a weird season for a long time because of the World Cup, but beyond that, it's a weird season. Liverpool are dropping points. Man U's found themselves. Spurs, we're not quite sure what they are right now. Chelsea are awful. These smaller teams are coming through. I don't know what to expect, but I do think it is a two-horse race now. Even though Newcastle aren't too far behind, and United aren't too far behind them, I think it is a two-horse race at this point, don't you think? Arsenal and City?
I absolutely agree. And I think when you look at United and Spurs, Spurs are too inconsistent. Plus, they have Champions League to worry about. Manchester United are in the Europa League, and they're a bit inconsistent themselves. I mean, they're on a pretty good run, but let's take into account the opposition they've been playing. They're going to face some better teams coming up. And when it comes to Newcastle, do you really expect them to challenge Manchester City?
We're not
Arsenal?
even halfway through the season.
I know.
I mean, we're really close to being halfway through the season. So we will look back, and every year, if we look back on the league this time last season, after 17, 18 games, it would paint a very different picture, apart from probably City. But Arsenal were in first place for a long part last season early on, right? It's a weird one. I don't know what to expect apart from the Gunners and City being 1 and 2, but that race for fourth place, and maybe the race to avoid the drop, I think will go down to the wire.
I'm not with you guys. I think this race is more wide open than you guys are giving it credit. And the reason being,
Because you're a Man U fan.
well, that, and there's a month coming up now where we've looked at the fixtures that are coming up. A lot of these teams are going to be playing head-to-head, right? Manchester City and Arsenal have not played each other yet this season. Those two teams, one of them is going to be dropping points. So there is going to be some room moving forward, I think, for one of these teams to potentially make a dark horse run.
Maybe it's Spurs. Maybe it's Tottenham, Albert. It's possible. When we come back, we'll look at Tottenham and just what's happening there. Big win yesterday, of course, but can they win trophies? Is Conte the right man? Is Levy the right man to run this ship? We'll find out after this. The good, the bad, and the Conte. Spurs may have pulled off a second-half win against Crystal Palace on Wednesday, and Harry Kane may have set yet another record, but Tottenham showcased all of their familiar failings at Selhurst Park, and manager Antonio Conte remains doubtful about the club's top four ambitions. Why can't Spurs find consistency under the Italian, and is chairman Daniel Levy the real reason Spurs are still struggling for silverware? With this brace on Wednesday night, Harry Kane moved to within just 2 goals of Jimmy Greaves' all-time club record of 266 strikes. And he also became only the second Premier League player to score on his 100th, 200th and 300th league appearance. With 15 goals in 18 league games this season, Kane and Spurs should be flying. But there are all kinds of stats in the other direction as well. Before Wednesday's victory against Palace, Spurs had won only 1 of their last 6 games in the league, and had fallen behind in each of their last 10 and conceded twice in each of their last 7. All in all, it's been Tottenham's worst defensive display for over 30 years. Chairman Daniel Levy has presided over 14 bosses during his 22-year reign at the club, with the return of just 1 trophy, the League Cup back in 2008. He's invested heavily in Spurs' state-of-the-art stadium, but not in the superstar signings that fans crave. Despite a $230 million summer spend on the likes of Richarlison, Perisic and Bissouma, Spurs don't look like a title-chasing side. And last weekend, Conte went as far as to claim that 5th, 6th or even 7th were even more realistic targets this season. So with the current manager's contract running out in June, and with a team of generally good players continually failing to click, can Spurs actually move forward in their present incarnation? And if not, how long will the likes of Conte and Harry Kane stick around? Alright, so here's one for you as we break into Spurs, Conte, Levy. In the last 5 years, Mikey, which Premier League club has the highest net spend, do you think? Not Spurs, by the way.
This Premier League club has the highest net spend. It's Man City, no?
No, it's not. It's their rivals, United.
Net includes profit, right?
Yeah, that's profit. Essentially, it's profit.
Yeah.
So it's United. Who do you think second?
Chelsea?
No, they're third. Albert, do you know second?
Is it Arsenal?
It's Arsenal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right, good
West
business.
Ham's fourth, which really surprised me. Fifth is Spurs. $537 million net profit over the last 5 years. This club spends money, right? I know the fans right now are criticizing Dan Levy as usual for not spending enough money, Albert. I know Conte is insinuating the same kind of thing once again, but is it a fair argument, do you think, that the club doesn't spend enough money to succeed?
Yes and no, because it seems like Levy is more of a businessman. I think that's how the fans see him. But if you look from the beginning of last season, Spurs are in the top 6 in terms of money spent, over $230 million. And look at the players they brought in, right? In January, they brought in Rodrigo Bentancur, Dejan Kulusevski, and 2 players who made an immediate impact. So it's not like he's not spending, but over the years, it's who they've spent the money on. Hasn't been good. I'll never forget when they sold Gareth Bale to Real Madrid, and they brought in 7 players, and 1 stuck. Christian Eriksen. Lamela was there as well. He kind of had an up and down career at Spurs, but he's spending the money. I can understand the frustration, but on the flip side, when you talk about Daniel Levy, look at where the club is now compared to where they used to be. World-class stadium, world-class facilities, and the team, regardless, I know they're not winning trophies, but they're in the top competitions. They're constantly fighting for top 4. They're in the Champions League or the Europa League. So they've grown. I think Spurs fans are just frustrated because you want to see something. You want to see some sort of reward from all that.
So is the issue then, is it Conte or is it whoever's in charge? Because as you mentioned in the piece there's been a lot of managers under Dan Levy over the years. Conte comes with a great resume, 4 Serie A titles, 1 Premier League title. Wherever he goes, he seems to succeed, except at Tottenham so far.
I think it's fair, actually, just based on his work, that maybe it's not Conte that's technically the issue here at the club. Albert illustrated it perfectly. This team does spend, but they don't spend on the right pieces, as you're alluding to. Like, they spent a lot of money, but if you think about who their key pieces are, it's not necessarily big incoming transfers. It's guys who they find that are essentially gems. But when you're spending the amount that you do, you should go after sure things. And look at a guy like Richarlison, right? Fantastic World Cup, sure, with Brazil, but he's yet to find his footing with the Spurs. But they've made those types of signings over and over where it's guys who are, I think their value's a little bit inflated almost. I think they're paying a little bit more than what the guys are worth. Richarlison could end up being a very good player, but I also don't necessarily see how exactly he necessarily fits into a Conte system. So,
but doesn't he have a big say in who comes in?
Yeah.
The manager?
And I think he's gotten the players, for the most part, who he wanted. Right? He wanted
Precisely.
center backs. He wanted wing backs. He got Perisic. He got Christian Romero, Kulusevski, and Bentancur. I keep going back to him. And in January, it's difficult to do business. We know that. And to get 2 players who made such an impact for them to finish in the top 4, he got what he wanted in that sense. I just think Conte, he wants the best players. He's a type of manager where he comes in, he needs the best of the best, and that's how his system works. Look at the last time he was canned in the Premier League from Chelsea. He was saying the exact same things about Abramovich,
Yeah.
not giving him the players that he
Inter
wanted.
Milan, some of those quotes are classic quotes. At the same time, when I hear his quotes in English, it seems to me he hasn't got the best grasp of the language.
Right, I agree.
And we begin to read between the lines. Oh, he meant to say this. He's meaning this. I'm not sure it's always that fair. But then we go back to his time in Milan and Juventus, when of course he spoke Italian, spoke it very well, and he hammered the ownership there as well. He doesn't seem to be a very happy human being, right? Doesn't he? I mean, he looks miserable on the pitch. He looks miserable in the press conferences.
Yeah.
Maybe when he's lifting that Premier League trophy above his head, he'll be smiling. Maybe. I don't know.
But players have come out and talked about how much they love him.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess it's in his nature, and it's just the way that he is. I truly believe, as a Spurs supporter, I think if Conte sticks around, I think they're going to get the right pieces for him. I think, it's hard to say what they'll win, but I think they'll be successful underneath him.
How many windows has he been here for?
2.
2.
January and the summer
So,
window.
in that essence, is it fair to judge a manager based off 2 transfer windows? Because there's always a saying that goes around: you need at least
You need a couple
2
windows,
years
right.
to fully see what a manager's vision is. But he might even depart before we get to see the
But
full.
this happened last
Conte
season,
experience.
right? This happened last season after a Burnley game, and they turned it around. They finished in the top 4. And now, same thing. They just beat Palace 4-0 in London Derby. They haven't won 4-0 away in like 3 decades in a big London Derby. So this is part of his tactic of managing. It's just the fans, it's easy to get upset with if you're not getting the results. And obviously the players want to win too. Who wants to hear their manager doing that week in and week out, right?
Yeah. So it might come down to Levy's head eventually, but like you said, maybe they're just a top 4 team, and that's what they are. They're not going to win too many trophies. It's been the early '60s when they last won the league title. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Jimmy Greaves, as mentioned. I don't know. I think they're a huge club. I think they're a club that should be a destination for big players. Wonderful stadium.
Great
You're in
stadium.
London, right? There's no reason why they shouldn't be winning trophies
Right.
if they invest properly, and that's the key word, I think, properly. But we shall see. FA Cup this weekend. The Prem continues next week, of course. So much can happen. When we come back, it's Albert's favourite time of the week. It's red card, yellow card, play on. Mikey Singh takes the host chair,
Oh.
takes over the show, and Albert just enjoys every second of it. So I'm back on the couches as promised, beside my boy Albert. In the
What's so funny?
I don't know what's
That's
so far. I have no
funny.
idea. Mikey Singh's in the host chair. It's red card, yellow card,
As
play
soon as
on.
game's off, you gotta give it a little tap on the knee.
Nice, I like that.
A little lovely tap.
Yeah.
Well, time for everybody's favorite game, as we discussed already. And picking up from last segment, you guys know how this works, by the way. We don't need to go over the rules again.
Oh yeah,
but-
I'm sure they're well aware.
Okay, quickly. Red card, yellow card, play on. Red card, it means they totally don't agree with the statement that I'm about to give. Yellow card, they can kind of see it. And play on means that they agree. So you'll see how this works. As we left off last segment, I'm going to throw it to you, Albert. And I'm going to say before the end of this season, Antonio Conte will tell the world that he's going to leave Tottenham.
Yellow cards. I can see where you're going with it. But I can also see it not happening because I truly believe that they're going to back him. I think they're going to back him in this January window. I think they're going to back him in the summer. And then after that next window in the summer, if it's not working out, I can see that happening. But at the moment, I think they're fully behind him. They even put Fabio Paratici from Juventus, his mate, in charge of transfers. So they're allowing him to dictate who he wants. And now it comes down to the money, and I think they'll spend.
Yeah, I think he's full of it. I mean, if he's not there, he'll get fired. But he won't walk away during the season.
No.
I can't see that
Well,
happening.
I'm
Plus,
not saying
where else would he
during the
go?
season he walks
But
away,
at the
but
end
he
of the
lets
season.
people know
Oh,
before the
okay.
season he's going to walk away.
Because he's one to go to the media.
He's,
isn't he?
he's one to go to the
geez.
media.
But where would he go? I mean, what big jobs are out there at the moment?
Or maybe back to Chelsea based on what's going on with Potter, right?
Maybe, yeah.
But
maybe.
yeah, I don't see him going. But I mean, it's not out of his character to.
So you expect the Spurs to spend this January?
Absolutely,
transfer
yeah,
window?
yeah. I think the next two
Interesting.
windows, yeah.
That could be an interesting dynamic, actually, because they're not that far out from the top four. Maybe they could be that team that
Well,
makes a push.
like I said in the last segment, I mean, January, it's so difficult to make signings and make impactful signings. Like if you think about the last player that really made an impact in January, it's hard to really think of. I mean, Bentancur and Kulusevski did for Spurs, but before that, I mean, one that comes to mind, maybe I think Ozil, who went to Arsenal in January.
Yeah, there's very few
He was immediate
huge
impact.
ones. Well, I mean, Diaz at Liverpool last year.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Right, but he's been
That was a
hurt
big
this
one.
year.
And you
of course.
really you
Well-
got to spend a bit more in January as well.
Speaking of that January transfer window and just transfer windows in general, I'm going to say, aside from Erling Haaland, Casemiro has been the best Premier League signing
Ooh,
this season
was
so
just thinking
far.
about this the other day.
James, I'll throw it to you to start.
the best signing.
The best signing. Aside
I'm
from
trying to
Haaland,
go
of
through my
course,
head
because
here
Haaland's
who's played
given.
well.
Well, his rival would have
Well,
been
I'll-
Darwin Nunez, but that's not
I'll
really
throw
good
out some
sign.
other names that
Yeah, okay,
that
okay.
have come in, and look at a guy like Gabriel Jesus, who's
Mhm.
obviously started terrifically with Arsenal. Christian Eriksen as well, coming in on a free to Manchester United. That's a good value. I also really love Zinchenko for Arsenal. I'm really high on him coming in from Man City. And then a guy like James Tarkowski, right, who's made an impact with Everton, but they're kind of at the bottom of the table. So how much love can you really give them?
But listen, Ben Mee.
Yeah.
Ben Mee at Brentford's been fantastic.
Mhm.
Right? Who'd have thought that?
Yeah.
He's been really, really good. But Casemiro has fit into that team beautifully. And I don't think there's much coincidence that since he arrived is when they kind of clicked. And he's scoring goals now. You know, he's being held back under Ancelotti at Real Madrid, obviously. He's now an offensive powerhouse too. So yeah, play on.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think he probably is. Yeah. I mean, didn't come cheap, mind you.
Yeah, and he didn't start off very well either, right?
The first month or so, yeah, it took
Yeah.
him a while to find his feet. But once he
Keep going.
got there,
Scott
he's been
McTominay was-
outstanding.
Scott McTominay was starting over him, so
Mm-hmm.
he's definitely come into his own and made an impact. One more for you, James. Cody Gakpo's come in, right? What a fantastic signing for Liverpool. I think we can all agree he was one of the faces of the World Cup. But I'm going to say, by the end of this season, Cody Gakpo will replace Darwin Nunez as Liverpool's starting number 9.
Ooh, number 9. No, I'm not having that. And I'm not saying that Gakpo won't be starting games.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be starting on the left with Diaz still out for a long time.
Is he out the rest of the season, Diaz? I don't
they're
think
saying
so.
March,
close. Yeah,
right?
March, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's getting towards the end. So no, I think Gakpo's going to be a great signing, playing out wide. I think Nunes will click at some point. He's getting so many chances.
Yeah.
And at
He has.
Benfica, he showed he can score goals. I know the poor World Cup. He still has the confidence to try things. I think it's going to click, and when it clicks, watch out. You got a proper player in your hands.
Yeah, I'm with you.
5 goals, 2 assists in 13 games. That's not terrible numbers for a new signing.
What's his XG, I wonder? We should find his XG. It's got to be pretty high.
He's creating. He's
Probably.
missed the
He's
most
a lot.
chances.
Most chances, yeah.
He's creating a lot though too. I mean, no, outside of Holland, no big man has that type of pace up front.
No.
Outside of Nunez.
And hey, listen, and he scored a goal against Brentford, right? Which was ruled off
It was ruled off
offside correctly.
slightly. Yeah,
but it was a
slightly.
beautiful finish.
It was. He took that really well.
And so just back on Gakpo quickly. He
Yeah.
can play all across the front three and number 10.
Yeah.
So he's going to be one of those versatile players that Klopp's going to love.
Yeah, I'm just thinking when Luis Diaz comes back, you kind of know what their
Yeah.
starting 11 is, and it seems like number 9 is the only spot that's really,
Yeah,
really
it
up
is.
for grabs right now. Moving on to Arsenal, obviously we have to talk about the league leaders really quickly.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Arsenal, they're not a top 4 side without Martin Odegaard. Albert, what do
Oh,
you
wow. Not a top 4 side without. Yeah, play on. I think I agree. He's been one of the best playmakers in the Premier League this season. He's one of the reasons why they're scoring goals the way that they are. I personally think that their most important player is Thomas Partey in that midfield. He just keeps everything together, and when he's healthy, that's when Arsenal are at their best. But going forward, without Odegaard, you're not having that creativity from midfield. We were talking about it yesterday. If they lose Odegaard, who's the next man
Yeah, I know.
in that number 10?
It would be Emil Smith-Rowe, but he's injured.
He's injured right now, yeah.
And you're missing another key playmaker in Gabriel Jesus.
But if he
So-
wasn't there, they'd address it. And
They
they'd
would.
spend, right? I mean, it's like
But
saying...
is he replaceable? Is Odegaard replaceable? Because what
well,
a player.
He's really good, but he's replaceable. He's
Okay,
not
let's
at
say
that
this.
level.
What about this? What if you replace Odegaard with James Madison? Arsenal top 4
Not
still?
the same player.
I don't
No.
Are
I
they
don't
top
know
4
how
side?
good Madison is until we see him play
Right.
that the pointy end of the table,
Yeah.
right? He
James
does a
Madison's
lot of
an
great things
interesting
at
one.
Leicester. I'd love to see him go to Newcastle because he'll be playing top 4 for some time, I think. But a good player. Yeah, listen, I think Odegaard's brilliant. He's been, I think, a surprise for many people how well he's done there. At the same time, he's not irreplaceable just yet. Let's give him a couple of years before we start saying he's irreplaceable.
I'm a huge fan of Martin Odegaard. You think about what his expectation was when he was at Real Madrid. You know, he was the next boy wonder of football, and he's starting slowly to sort of live up to that expectations. Keep it really short for me, James. This one, I'm saying Bukayo Saka. If you look at transfer market right now, they have him listed as a $100 million player. For me, he's not a $100 million player.
In this current market, when Enzo Fernandez is going for 120 million, then yes, he is absolutely $100 million pound player. He's that good. He's young and he's English in the Premier League, and that is the old English tax. So I think if they sold him tomorrow to Real Madrid, they're getting north of 100 for him.
You forgot the game.
Oh, sorry. No, not having that.
Doesn't care. Right?
No.
All right, we're out of time, James, but I hope everybody enjoyed that one.
That was good. I enjoyed that. Yeah, well done, Mikey. You can sit there whenever you want.
Oh, watch out, Sherms.
Not tomorrow, though. We are back tomorrow, though, getting set for the FA Cup weekend. Yeah, we'll look at some of the big games and probably make fun of Albert some more. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. It's room 442.